Welcome everyone. My name is Brianna Marburg. I'm the president of Runway of Dreams at the University of Maryland. I'm a part of the business school studying business management. Thank you for joining our panel discussion event with the purpose of raising awareness surrounding people with disability in fashion, both on and off the runway. Runway of Dreams and its clubs work toward a future of inclusion, acceptance, and opportunity in the fashion industry for the community of people with disabilities. We do this through our campaign for inclusion, adaptive runway shows, college club programs, wardrobe grants to those in need, and scholarships to rising design innovators.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nikki, and I'm a senior here at the University of Maryland and the co-president of Runway of Dreams. We are so excited to hear from 4 amazing human beings that have such a strong connection to Runway of Dreams. It truly is such a special organization. It all started with Mindy Scheler, who we were lucky enough to have on today. Mindy was inspired to start Runway of Dreams after her son, Oliver, who has muscular dystrophy, dreamed of wearing jeans just like everybody else. This inspiration sparked into something bigger than ever imagined. Runway of Dreams now works with major brands such as Kohl's, Target, Zappos Adaptives, JCPenney, Victoria's Secret, Tommy Hilfiger Adaptive, and so many more. Without further ado, I'm happy to introduce Mindy.
Thank you, Nikki. Hello, everybody. It is an absolute honor to be here this evening. And I just couldn't kick off this amazing panel without acknowledging the hard work and dedication of the Runway of Dreams Club at Maryland. I'm so proud of Nikki, Brianna, and Emma for really taking this to such a high level. It is something that is so important to Runway of Dreams as an organization, that if we are not inspiring and empowering next generations, then we can't possibly change our mainstream world. As you are the future, you are the ones that are going to go out in your paths and say, well, where's the representation? Where are people with disabilities in this conversation? And I think that is really going to be evidenced this evening by the incredible panelists that we have. And I hope that everybody listening tonight has an important takeaway of conviction and understanding that change is happening and we are all responsible to making that happen, but we can't do that alone. And we need everybody to really participate and make this a mainstream notion that people with disabilities are people first. And that is something that I know that our incredible club at Maryland, run by these incredible young women, is really going to hit home in the panel discussion this evening. So I'm so proud and honored to kick off the panel, and I will hand it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Mindy. Hi, everyone. My name is Emma Schneider. I'm a sophomore attending the University of Maryland with a major in psychology and a minor in human development. I'm a co-vice president here at the Club of Runway of Dreams at Maryland. And in the spirit of time, we are going to have our amazing panelists introduce themselves, starting with Mikela.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mikela Stephenson. I'm a 24-year-old twin with cerebral palsy. My power chair gives me a bit of independence around the house, and my service dog, Alaska, helps me retrieve items I need. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, but I have been living for the past 6 years in Rye Brook, New York. I love New York because it has so much to offer. I graduated 2 years ago from college with a degree in communications and a minor in marketing. Traveling is a top priority if possible. I have dual citizenship, so I've been able to visit and live in Italy for extended periods of time. I enjoy fundraising and volunteering for organizations and causes that are close to my heart, like Runway, like Canine Companions for Independence, that gave me my wonderful service dog Alaska, and of course, Runway of Dreams, who advocates for inclusion in the fashion industry. And it's on fire right now, thanks to Mindy. I joined Gamut Management as a model in 2019, just before the start of the pandemic.
Thank you so much, Mikela.
My first job was to model for a company that makes adaptive underwear called Undercare Inc. And it was so much fun. I also had the honor to model during New York Fashion Week 2021 with Runway of Dreams for Zappa's Adaptive. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mikela. Next up, Garrison.
Hi, everybody. My name is Garrison Redd. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a Team USA powerlifter, an author, a model, a disabled rights advocate, and also a founder of a non-for-profit organization called the Garrison Redd Project, which helps individuals with disabilities attain resources they need to strive in society. With that said, I just came back from San Antonio earlier today. I competed at a Team USA national qualifier to represent Team USA at the World Para Powerlifting Championships, which will be taking place this summer in July, to be exact. This explains the arms. And yeah, I'm just overall an incredible person. I'm a junior board member as well with the Runway of Dreams. Mindy gave me my first start rolling down the runway at Cipriani back in 2019, I think right before the pandemic. So that's a little bit about myself, but I will go into more details through the questions.
Thank you so much, Garrison. Next up, let's hear from you, Adriana.
Hi everyone, I'm Adriana Capri, and I interned for Runway of Dreams last summer. I'm from Long Island, New York, and I'm 21 years old. I graduated from college with a bachelor's in fashion merchandising. I love the fashion industry and hope to be a part of it. I love to create digital apparel design. I also love to write disability and lifestyle blog. My main goal of that blog is to really empower others with or without disabilities, anybody that's going through a challenge, and to let them know that their challenge doesn't define them. Disability doesn't define me.
Thank you so much, Adriana. And last but not least, how about you, Jillian?
Hi everyone, I'm Jillian Curwin. I am Jersey born and raised, but now living in New York City. I am a podcast host and blogger advocating for disability, specifically dwarfism, but disability as a whole awareness. It started as a fashion blog back in 2020, right after Sinead Burke was featured on the cover of British Vogue, which absolutely reignited my passion for fashion. That's kind of always been there, but really wanted to then pursue it full time. And following, once the pandemic hit, it has evolved to being a platform really where I talk about a lot of issues affecting both the little person and disabled communities. And on the podcast, I invite guests in the little person community and the disabled communities, as well as allies, to talk about living in a world that is not necessarily designed for them.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for sharing a little bit about who you are, and thank you to everyone else who's participating.
Before we get started, we wanted everyone to know that you can leave a question in the Q&A box, and at the end, hopefully we'll be able to get to some of them. Our first question is for you, Adriana. I'm willing to bet that as a recent graduate in fashion merchandising, you have a sense of fashion and a look of style of your own. Please tell us about your fashion style and how fashion innovation has evolved to support your style. If it hasn't supported your style, share why.
So I would say that I don't just have just one style, because I'm always changing up my look, especially depending on where I'm going to, the occasion. And the main thing is I like to be myself and wear something that makes me feel good, whether it's trendy or not. So for example, I love wearing my Billy adaptive sneakers everywhere. I feel so comfortable in them. I can get them on and off myself pretty easy, quickly, and I get compliments on them all the time. I even know one of my friends bought those same Billy adaptive shoes that I have, and they're not even disabled. But if I'm looking to go somewhere else, like a party or event, I will be wearing sandals or wedges, heels, and they might have like buttons or a number of straps on them. So it might take me a little longer, but so I wear them because it fits the occasion. So with that being said, I think fashion brands are successful at making apparel functional and fashionable. I just wish that there were more options for us.
Right, that makes so much sense. Thank you so much for sharing. The next question is for Garrison. Can you tell us a little bit more what it's like to be a Team USA Paralympic powerlifter, and what hurdles have you overcome? And do all powerlifters that you compete with have the same physical disabilities?
Okay, so being a Team USA para powerlifter is an amazing accomplishment because you're recognized as one of the strongest individuals in the world. Not only that, what people do not know, a fun fact that we all going to take today, is that para powerlifting is one of the only sports where disabled individuals outlift their able-bodied counterparts, which means we're actually stronger than our able-bodied counterparts pound for pound. With that said, it was tons of hurdles actually getting into para powerlifting because adaptive sports is not really as big as just regular sports. And what I mean by that is that you can't really find adaptive sports in your local schools and things of that nature. So it actually takes a lot of word of mouth, and due to social media and things of that nature, we could connect with individuals that can help us get to where we need to get to in order to partake in these sports. So how I got involved with para powerlifting was I was actually at the gym one day, and an individual came up to me and said he was a wheelchair football team coach and I should come out and play some wheelchair football. So at the time I instantly thought like, I don't know about wheelchair football due to the fact regular football is really rough and stuff like that. So I was just thinking in my head, like I could get injured. Like that doesn't even make sense. And at the time I was working at the Internal Revenue Service, which I don't like to tell people, but I'm sharing that today. But because I did graduate with my bachelor's in finance, but one of the things that I was observing while I was going to college and once I got into the workforce was a lot of things wasn't like accessible and to that nature and to that degree. So I figured that if I'm be good at a sport, I could actually raise awareness on a worldwide level to disabled rights, inclusion, diversity, and accessibility. So when that gentleman offered me that opportunity, I did take him up on it. But I met another individual who was who's the president of the Wheelchair Sports Federation, and he connected me with a wheelchair track club called the New Jersey Navigators, which is one of the best junior sports clubs in the country in wheelchair track and field. And from there, it led me, my coach, to entering me into my first para powerlifting competition back in the beginning of 2018, where I was able to lift 250 pounds, only weighing 125 pounds. And I was the strongest in the country in my weight class, which I didn't even know of. So that was like how I got involved with para powerlifting. And then later on in 2018, I was invited out to the Olympic training facility in Colorado Springs, where I was able to lift 275 pounds, weighing about 128 pounds. And that was at the time like the number one, well, it still is the number one lift in the country. And that's when I first made Team USA and competed at my first World Championships, which was in Kazakhstan in 2019. Bogota was canceled in 2020, but in 2021, I competed at World Championships in Manchester, United Kingdom, as well as I competed at World Championships in Tbilisi, Georgia, back in December. And to answer your question on whether do all powerlifters have the same disabilities, that is a no. So I am a T12 paraplegic, which means I have a spinal cord injury that affects my lower parts of my body, especially my ability to walk. So I primarily use a wheelchair. However, I do compete against athletes who are amputees, as well as short stature, and also athletes that have cerebral palsy, spinal bifida. So it's a range of disabilities. The athletes we do not compete against due to safety reasons is individuals with vision impairments and arm amputees, because it's just for safety reasons. This sport can be very dangerous with us lifting upwards of close to 600 pounds, some of the athletes, depending on what weight class you're in. So it's also designed, it has 12 weight classes for the men and 10 weight classes for the female. And it can range from starting at 49 kgs for the males and 45 kgs for the females, and can go all the way up to super heavyweight, which can be athletes weighing over 200 pounds.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Garrison. Your journey with Paralympic powerlifting sounds incredible. So that's awesome. Jillian, can you elaborate on the reason why you created and host a podcast? What's the purpose of the podcast?
Sure. So like I said before, started the blog back in 2020. I was in Amsterdam in the summer of 2019 for my cousin's wedding, and there you can get British Vogue, and it was around the time where Sinead Burke was featured on the cover as the September issue that Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, edited. And so I literally ran all around Amsterdam trying to find this magazine because I knew I had to have it. And seeing it, and it kind of like reignited this passion for fashion that I've always had but never really acted on. So I was like, now's the time. I really want to do something about it. I want to hopefully like create change or drive change or be a part of a bigger movement that's happening. So I launched the blog in 2020, where I really like talked about adaptive fashion. I commented on Fashion Week and like would say like, this could be hemmed, this could be shortened, this could be adapted for models with disabilities, because we weren't seeing it on the runways. I did the same thing with the Oscars red carpet. Just because like it was just like fun ways for me to talk about fashion. And then the pandemic hit, I wasn't shopping as much. Fashion shows weren't happening. So I expanded to talk about other issues affecting both the little person community and the disabled community as a whole. And that I found to be I learned a lot more during that process of talking about different issues that don't just affect me, but the disabled community as a whole. And it's during that time that I really embraced my identity as a disabled woman. And it was also during that time where I really wanted to learn from other people in the community, and not just other little people, but other disabled people. So I would interview my friends, and I had a series, I called it Girl Talk. And it was really fun learning with them, and we'd have these amazing conversations, but it would just take very, very long to transcribe them all, and then making sure that these people were accurately represented in the way that they wanted to be. And so I decided that I want these conversations to be heard, and I want these stories to be told in my guests' voices. So I launched the podcast, Always Looking Up, where the sign off is height is just a number, not a limit. And we talk about, not just about being a little person, but about being a disabled person, about being different in this world, and how we, the changes we want to see and the changes that we're making in it.
Thank you so much, Jillian. I wish you the best of luck with your podcast and growing it. So the next question is for you, Mikela. What does it mean to you to be a part of a runway show? And can you tell us a little bit about your fashion style?
To be a part of a runway show for someone like me is a dream come true. It really is. To be able to show the world that even someone with a visible disability gets to model clothing and accessories like supermodels is a great feeling. I got to represent the disabled community on the runway that has always been for a very small niche. Beautiful women, tall, skinny, and able-bodied. Thanks to Mindy, who's changing that and started it all. I love to be a part of this change. As far as my fashion style, I enjoy wearing fashionable dresses and skirts with boots with heels.
Thank you so much, Mikela. The next question is for you, Garrison. How did you get involved with public speaking, more specifically with giving TED Talks, and how have you used your public speaking to inspire others?
The reason why I got into public speaking, just to piggyback when I mentioned I worked at the IRS, I started to observe how we lived in an ableist society where it wasn't really designed for individuals living with disabilities, especially living in New York City, where I'm from. And New York City designed like around a subway system. And when I was at work, I was just thinking like each and every day, like people do not know my struggles to get to work each day. Public transportation is not so adequate for individuals living with disabilities, and people fear to realize that as well. And also, I just thought about like things like while I was at work was like how the bathrooms were designed. Like if you could have universally designed every bathroom for all individuals with all abilities to use at any time, then we wouldn't use like able-bodied individuals wouldn't use the big stores and things of that nature. So at that point, I became comfortable with being uncomfortable. So, which took me a while. It took me about 10 years into my injury to be comfortable with myself, to speak about the things that I go through and other individuals go through. So one day, a colleague of mine suggested, how about you do a TED Talk? Because you seem very open, even when, random people ask you questions about your disability. And I said, you know what, I looked into it. I said, that's an incredible idea, because if I could share, some of the hardships and adversities that I go through, it may be able, and how I overcame them, it may be inspiration to others to overcome whatever they're going through, especially individuals with disabilities, because it's a time for like a revolution. It was time for like a change. That's how I just felt in my heart. So I quit my job, applied for a TED Talk, and they selected me. And at that time, other things was changing. I actually, around that time, I got into powerlifting, and just so many other doors started opening. I met a friend that wanted me to assist them with possibly making prototypes for like adaptive fashion and stuff like that. And I met Mindy in the Runway of Dreams around that time as well. So during that, so many things were changing. I said, I got to speak about it. And if I could be a voice and keep doing incredible things, it can open the doors up for so many other individuals. So that was my main reason to get involved in public speaking, just to give the world a voice and to let them know that it's time for a change.
Thank you so much, Garrison. You're a true inspiration. So this is for you, Jillian. What's missing in fashion for a little person? And before you answer that, also please share why you think it's important for brands not to just promote diversity, but also to include inclusivity to all consumers.
Well, fashion affects everyone. We all get up, we all get dressed in the morning in one way, shape, or form. So for brands not to design for people with disabilities, it doesn't make sense from just like, if you just look at purely from an economic standpoint, they're eliminating entire customer base by not including them in their designs. And people with disabilities comprise the world's largest minority. And it is also the only minority group that anyone can join. So to not think about that when designing clothes, especially because, again, it is an industry that affects everyone, regardless of your style, you get dressed in the morning. So that's why when these talks about inclusion on the runway and seeing diversity, disability has to be part of that conversation. And we still have a long way to go, I think, in getting it there. And that, it needs to be, we need to see in Fashion Week on the main runways, we need to see disabled models there. We need to see them in these shows. We need to see them in the catalogs and the editorials. Then that we could say that the industry is becoming truly more inclusive, and we're not there yet. As a little person, so then answering the second part of your question, as a little person, I can't, everything is too long. Almost everything is too long. And then, it's like jeans, I can't find a normal pair of jeans because even when you get it hemmed, you just kind of lose the shape of the pant. So like, it wasn't until recently when I worked with a designer that I owned a pair of bell bottoms, because I just wouldn't even bother trying to find them because I knew they would get cut off and they wouldn't be bell bottoms anymore. Same thing with dresses and with skirts. And it's also, the finding of the right proportions. So for me, my body is naturally disproportionate. To be my type of little person, it means to have an average height torso and shorter arms and legs supporting it. So just trying to get the fits right, because like I'll have tops that are too long, but like it'll work in the sleeve, or sleeves will be too long, but like the top will be the right length. So finding those proportions is sometimes really difficult. And, you know, even in some of the adaptive lines coming out, little people aren't necessarily being included because there are so many types. There are over 400 types of little people. And it's very hard to standardize, but my counter argument to that is no bodies are standard. No two bodies are alike. So I kind of, you know, want to see the fashion industry take it on and say, hey, you know, if we're going to be inclusive, we're going to be adaptive, we really do have to expand and include more disability in that as well.
Thank you so much for sharing all that about your opinions about the fashion industry. The next question is for Adriana. Can you tell us a little bit about how you want to make a difference in the fashion industry, and what do you think needs to change in the fashion industry?
Yeah, so I would love to contribute, you know, my own experiences and perspective and the perspectives I've learned from others to really make it easy and convenient and most importantly accessible to all people, disabled or not. So I would say like if you make something adaptive, anyone can use it, not just someone who is disabled. Like the shoes I mentioned before, or like magnetic closures for button down tops, or closures for necklaces, or zippers for shoes. Like anyone could use them. So yeah, that answers that question. What I feel like needs to change in the fashion industry is, I would say, the meaning of inclusivity for some brands. Not all of them, but there is so much inclusivity already regarding like race, gender, body image, and this is 100% a positive thing. But I feel like disability is sometimes forgotten. I just feel like it'd be great to feel more recognized.
Thank you so much, Adriana. That was so insightful. So the next question is for you, Mikela. How do you feel when you see people with disabilities in ad campaigns, and why is it important that they're included?
There are more and more brands that today feature differently abled models, like Tommy Hilfiger Adaptive, which is a partner of Runway of Dreams, JCPenney, and Zappos Adaptive, to mention a few. It makes me feel more included and easier to relate to them. It's important because it opens up doors for a community that has been underserved. You don't have to be 6 feet tall and strong to look good in clothes. I want to inspire people and show them that people with disabilities are people first.
Thank you, Mikela. Okay, so the next question is for all of our panelists. Why is Runway of Dreams important to you? Let's start with you, Adriana. I think you're mute.
Sorry about that. Sometimes I forget. So Runway Dreams is leading the way in the fashion industry and for people with disabilities, and to view them in a different light, and that resonates with me personally and also professionally too. It was a privilege when I interned for them last summer, and I still hope to be part of this tremendous movement in the fashion world.
Thank you so much. Next, Garrison.
The Runway of Dreams is important to me because everyone at the Runway of Dreams is pioneers of change. Fashion and clothing in general plays some type of role in everyone's life. And a lot of times we take for granted how important independence in fashion is. And like me, like I have to come out with swag. So I want the same outfit that, I see Little Baby or whatever your favorite rapper is. And a lot of times these brands aren't inclusive, but what the what the Runway of Dream is doing is creating opportunities for these brands to partner. Panels like the one that we're having right now. It could be a fashion designer on this panel in the audience that this conversation may just open them up to thinking outside the box, or not even thinking with a box at all, just thinking about inclusive fashion and being the pioneer of that. And I think, going forward, the Runway of Dreams and Mindy and all of the staff, even the board members and junior board members, we're going to create that. And one day I hope to see some type of store in a mall, like, how we have stores for children, stores for big and tall, whatever demographic. I hope we can have a store for individuals with disabilities where we could specifically shop at any local mall. So that way we could be fashionable and stay on top of it as well. So thank you, Mindy, for what you're doing.
Everyone does need a little bit of swag to their wardrobe. Okay, Mikela, we'd like to hear from you next.
Runway of Dreams is extremely important to me because they're making a difference in the fashion industry, and they're showing the beauty within a group of people who have been neglected for far too long. So thank you, Mindy, Dawn, Elissa, Debbie, for what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mikela. And last but not least, Jillian.
Runway of Dreams, and in partnership with the brands that they do work with, are showing the industry that there really is no excuse not to design for the disabled community. Like they're proving it in their runways, and now that they're on both coasts with their fashion shows and they are expanding with the brands they're working with, they're showing the other major fashion houses that like there is no excuse not to include disabled and people, and including disabled people is not just as models, it's including them as creatives behind the scenes and really getting their input. So I think that is what makes Runway of Dreams so important right now.
Thank you guys so much. And then this is another question for all of you again, whether our audience has a disability or not, how do you think that they could help empower people with disabilities? Let's start with Jillian.
To start, and it's going to sound really simple, but I think it doesn't happen enough, is you have to listen to disabled people. Disabled people know what it's like to live in their own bodies. They know what it's like to live in this world that is inherently ableist, that is inaccessible. So if you're trying to help the disabled community, don't assume that you know better than a disabled person. Really take the time, listen to them, include them in conversations about design. And design is not just limited to fashion, as I think it's kind of been made clear. It's about buildings. It's about the environment we live in. And so like you have to not just limit yourself into what design is, but also if you're going to enter this space, you have to make sure that disabled people are included.
Totally. Thank you so much. Next, Adriana.
Yeah, so I would say to always be kind to one another, especially don't prejudge. And that's for everyone, that goes for everyone, but especially for someone with a disability. I think bouncing off of what Jillian kind of said, that it's important not to assume really, and to just stop the social stigmas.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. Thank you. Mikela.
As far as I'm concerned, since I was little, I have always watched people approach my parents and my caregivers to talk or ask questions about me. I would love to see people address anyone with a disability, not just me, and not just to assume that they can't talk or communicate in some way. Talk directly to them. Don't be afraid. We don't bite. This is a way to include and empower them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Garrison?
So what I want everybody to take away from today's discussion is that I would like for everyone to be more aware, considerate, and open-minded towards the disabled community because we all have incredible abilities. So let's start increasing the representation because inclusion matters, diversity matters, and most of all, disability awareness matters. So everyone just take that away from today.
Thank you all so much for those great pieces of advice. Now, all of our set questions are done. We're happy to take questions from the audience. If anyone has them, you can just type them in the chat and we'll direct them to the panelists.
I'm sure everybody has something they want to ask, at least an individual or a question for the collective group. So come on, let's ask our panelists some questions. I know they didn't get to answer everything. We'll wait for a couple seconds to see if anybody has a question. I thought it was interesting, Jillian, all body types and all shapes and sizes are not the same. So it's interesting that for little people that's one of their greatest challenges. Is there any brand in particular that you would call out that are making apparel for little people or?
Yeah, there's a small brand in Germany, off Agenha, and I might have butchered that pronunciation. But she is a designer. Her cousin is a little person. So she started designing her label, I believe, in 2017. And she is an incredible fashion designer. And she does a lot of like really wearable, ready to wear pieces. I have a few of them right now. One of the big things that I got from them recently are tights, because I've never been able to find tights before. My former dancer self is really happy about it. Another designer here based in the US is Kathy Woods. She is an incredible fashion designer in the little person community. And she is a little person, so she understands the little person body better than anyone. And so she's been designing and really creating some amazing pieces as well.
Okay, thank you so much. One of the questions we received through the chat was to Mikela. They wanted to know a little bit more about your service dog, if you could elaborate on Alaska.
Yes, Alaska comes with me everywhere, and he was even on the runway with me this past September 2021 when I was doing the runway show with the Runway of Dreams, and I take him everywhere with me. So he's very, very into my life and very
How does he? Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, like, kind of how is he help? Like, give us a vibe on like how is he helpful to you?
Well, he picks up a lot of things for me. He picks up my phone, my glasses, my headphones, and things like that. And he just likes to cuddle with me all the time. And
Thank you.
would you like to see him?
Yeah.
Alaska. Here, Alaska. Alaska, lap, lap, lap. Alaska, lap. 1 second, sorry.
Aww.
Lap. Go on, Alaska. Lap. Lap, Alaska.
Lap. Lap.
Maybe he's a little camera shy.
There you go.
So cute.
He's so cute. Thank you.
Alaska, here. Lap. Lap.
Aww.
Okay. One of the next questions was that you all are so inspiring, courageous, and confident. Who has inspired you to achieve this level of confidence? If anyone wants to take that one, you're more than welcome to.
So for me, I would say my family definitely makes me more confident. I come from a very positive household, so not to say that we haven't had our past challenges, but we definitely keep our head high and we keep a good outlook on life. And I would also say my personal experiences and everything that I've gone through since being diagnosed with Friedreich's ataxia at the age of 12. And I think it's almost been 5 years using a wheelchair. So that's wow. But so I think going through all that just taught me so much to remain confident and positive and everything.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else want to talk on that?
You could go first.
Sorry. My family has helped me gain so much confidence. I couldn't do it without, especially my mom. I couldn't do it without her. So thank you, Mom.
Yeah, Garrison.
Yeah, same here. I gotta thank my parents. My mom is like incredible. From the time I was injured, she's like, nobody's gonna have sympathy for you or empathy for you. So you got to go to school in 6 months just like everybody else. So I'm like, Mom, I'm in rehab. Like I'm trying to learn how to like walk again or just do like my daily living activities again. And she just gave me that confidence that like you're going to be out there in the world, you're going to do incredible things and you're going to be totally independent. So that's the main key, you know, to be totally independent, you know, as independent as possible while living with your disability. And I've seen individuals all the time stretch it. Like I've seen quadriplegic individuals doing so many incredible things that I may never even try it. You got to check out wheelchair rugby. All the athletes that compete in wheelchair rugby have quadriplegia, which is typically they're paralyzed from like the chest down. They have limited mobility in their arms. So that inspires me. So I'm like, you know, if they have limited mobility and could do in their arms, I can't complain. I have full use of my arms. So that's where I come from. Yep.
Thank you.
And then just mainly I'm going to say my mom because am I on? Okay. One, if she ever sees this and I don't mention her, I'm going to get in trouble. But she and I mean, since I was born, like I was the first little person that she really got to know and had to meet. So like we've been kind of on this journey together of understanding what it means to be a little person in average height world. And she's been very patient with me. And again, like doesn't let me limit myself and she doesn't limit me either. So for that, I'm like eternally grateful for her. And I would also say like the disabled community as a whole, not just the little person community, because I'm, you know, like with my platforms, like I'm learning every day from them about how to be a better advocate and just truly like a better person.
Thank you so much. Someone wrote if we could share the Instagram accounts. We're actually going to link them on our page after, so everyone can like follow you guys and see how amazing everyone is and what they're doing in their daily lives. Another question we got from the audience was, what brand do you wish had adaptive clothing that currently doesn't? So if you just want to like throw out a brand that you wish had adaptive clothing that currently doesn't.
That's a long list.
Yeah.
Woo. Top three.
Top three. Okay. It's gonna take a second.
No worries.
Take your time.
Someone else want to throw one out there while I'm thinking.
The Gap. I wish the Gap had an adaptive line. I'll shop there.
Chanel.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Louis Vuitton. Since we on that.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's so many. This is tough. I'd say like for like more accessible in terms of like price fashion, J. Crew. Would love to see J. Crew get into the adaptive space. As for like the designer, like my dream designers, I would want to wear Dior, Moschino, like, which I've seen, like he's Jeremy Scott with Moschino has done some adaptive fashion. I've seen it. So like, I want to see more of it. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. Dior is a big one. All like the European designer.
Definitely.
I mean, I want to see all of them eventually enter the space. So
Off-white for streetwear.
yes. Yes.
And he uses I've seen him using individuals with disabilities as models as well. So hopefully adaptive line could be coming out soon.
I feel like some designers are using like an individual or like a couple individuals, but I want to see it be more just like weaved in as the way that different sizes have been weaved into the runways now. Like that's, I think, the ultimate for me right now, like goal to see.
For sure, definitely. I'm just gonna throw out one last question. Who are some of your role models? It can be in the disability community or not. I know you guys said like your parents inspire you. If you have any other like role models besides that.
I think a lot of us is role models to ourselves. Like we keep challenging ourselves to like lead the way and pioneer. So
I like that answer.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much my own role model. I keep challenging myself. Like, I power lift, but right now I'm getting into like climbing, adaptive rock climbing.
Ooh,
Wow. So stay tuned. Follow me.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, I agree with Garrison that we're all our own role models. I think we all just like challenge ourselves to be better and be the best we could be. And yeah, I love that.
Definitely. Thank you all so much for sharing your stories and your pearls of wisdom. And we also want to thank our audience for staying on. Thank you for joining us this evening.
We understand that for some of you, this is your first introduction to disability inclusivity, and we really hope that it's not your last. On behalf of our executive board, I would like to thank Dawn and Janine for their leadership and assistance. We could not have done this without you and the rest of Runways of Dream Foundation. We wish everyone on the Zoom the best of luck, and we hope that you realize that this is much bigger than fashion and that you continue to be a part of the fashion inclusion movement. We hope that you all follow our club on Instagram and Runway of Dreams. We will put it in the chat and also link it on our Instagram. And thank you everyone for such a great panel. It was a really great experience.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you guys
much.
so much.
Really
Runway of Dreams appreciates all of you. Thank you all so much. Each and every one of you are an inspiration. And thank you to University of Maryland for leading the charge here in helping with our campaign for inclusion. Thank you. Thank you everybody so much. I loved seeing all of you and you're all just so inspirational. Have a good evening.
Guys. We're gonna link their Instagram on our page so you guys can go follow everyone, the panelists. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you.